Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Southwest, you were here early, which was cool. I saw you in the message there in the chat. Um, hope everyone's doing okay. I hope everyone's having a great New Year so far. It has been very, very busy here, and it doesn't stop getting busy all through January. We'll be doing a ton of cool stuff. Um, if you don't see the cool stuff here, you can probably check it on my other social media on Facebook and Instagram. Be doing a ton of lives. Racing on the 17th. We're doing the Daytona 24 hours of Daytona on, I think that's the 25th and 26th. So we got a ton of really cool car stuff coming up. And you can tell we've been doing stuff on I've been doing stuff on the Altima. The front fascia, I just took it off because when I refilled the coolant and got it up to the proper level, it was extremely low. It still had coolant, but it was extremely low. I found out why. And that's because there was a very tiny leak on the front of the radiator that was actually just pissing a little tiny stream onto the AC condenser. And you could see this big wet spot on the AC condenser. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So you can kind of see the red bucket down there. Catching a little bit of coolant, trying to get that leak fixed. And we don't want a leaking car when we're racing. That's not good for tech. So trying to get that fixed. And what else do we do? We have new plugs in it. We have new gear oil. We have new regular oil. And trying to think what else. Oh, power steering. When I was idling the car, checking for leaks, I noticed that the power steering fluid level was kind of low. And I opened up the cap, and it was like curdled chocolate milk. It was so bad. So I sucked out as much of that stuff as I could and put in new fluid. When the car comes back from the race, if it's still whole, we'll completely drain that system and put in all new power steering fluid. But at least we have some new fluid in there to help the old chocolate milk make it last a little bit longer and hopefully keep that power steering a little bit happier. Car idles great, puts out great heat, air conditioning works, everything works awesome. The last thing we have to do is the brakes, and that's what we're working on tonight. I've already done the passenger side, because I figured I'd stick with the driver's side with you folks. And we'll just do a really quick one on how to replace these pads. We're not replacing rotors. We're not doing brake fluid flush. This is just pads. So this is super simple maintenance. The good part is we can find out, number one, that our calipers are working correctly and they're pinching evenly. Sometimes you'll have a brake pad where you just have wear on one side and the other side is like brand new. And you're like, all right, well, we obviously have a caliper problem. And that usually has to do with the piston sticking or the seals not working correctly. So that gives you something to check when you pull those pads apart. And then also we're going to upgrade our pads. We are going with not quite a race pad. We're not going, Carbotech XP25s or anything like that. We're just going to go with a really, really, really nice Bosch blue pad. Let's see, who else is here? Hey, Eastwind Farms. Thanks for joining tonight. This one's kind of race car-y, but it's kind of weird race car-y because people don't normally race Nissan Altimas. But since we're doing the race at the Freedom Factory on the 17th, got to race an Altima. And so I have a 4-cylinder, 2.5-liter, 6-speed coupe that I got stupid cheap, and we're doing some maintenance on it just to make sure that the car runs and drives for the whole race. And you can check some of the other previous live streams, and I'll show you some of the other stuff we've done. But the other thing we did was new spark plugs, brand new NGK Iridiums. And the old plugs were okay, not bad, but the new plugs will definitely help. And you can definitely tell when you put new plugs in a car, it just idles smoother, it idles better. It's just the engine sounds happier. Maybe I'm weird, but I can hear the difference between an unhappy engine and a very happy engine. So this engine's much happier with all the new fluids. And Now we're going to try and help it stop. There's an old joke, brakes just slow you down. That's true. But in any racing format, whether it's drag racing, road course, uh, trophy trucks, doesn't matter. Any kind of racing, just ask any driver what they really want in their car, and they'll say better brakes. And the brake systems they've gotten so much better in the last like 10 years. They're using incredible components and all these cool things. So some of that, trickles down from, IMSA. It eventually makes its way into commuter cars. And we're lucky for that. So that's what we're doing with the Altima is we're taking some of that cool stuff that they didn't have 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and we're putting it into this car to make it a little bit better at the track. And we're going to be able to stop better than a lot of the other Altimas out there. So when you have bad shit happen in front of you, you can lock up the brakes, still maintain control, and go around it. Or if you're coming in way too hot in a turn, you can dial it down and you'll have really kick-ass brakes. So the last fluid that we'll have to do will be the brake fluid. We're going to do that after the pads. I know that's not the absolute best way to do it, but this is the order that I've received parts. So this is the order that we're going to do it. And let's start at, you guys can see I have all the tools and stuff at the rear. So we'll start at the rear, and this is going to be super simple. And this is, I'm serious. Let's say ages 10 and up can do this. It doesn't require a lot of muscle strength. It doesn't require a lot of crazy parts or obscure tools or anything like that. So I'll show you guys, and then you can do the maintenance on your car. This is going to apply to a lot of different vehicles. When you start getting into race vehicles like the Viper and stuff like that, you have different kinds of calipers that do different things. So it gets a little more complicated, but this is going to be like 85%, 90% of what's out there. It's a very simple setup like this. So let me grab a light, which is already over there. And I'm going to wheel you guys over and bring you down with me. I'm going to put you on the rolly stool. I'll put you on the rolly stool, and you guys can see hopefully what I'm doing. If audio sucks or video sucks, say something in the group message so I can make the change. And all right, let's get to it. First things first, the materials that they use on brake pads are incredibly caustic. You do not want to breathe that shit in. It is bad for you. I don't care if they say they're all organic and ceramic and planet friendly. I don't care. Do not breathe that shit in. It is bad for you. All of it is bad for you. And so you don't want to touch it too. You don't want it on your clothes. You don't want it on your hands. Clothes is okay. Just throw it in the laundry. So I use bitch mittens. I use gloves when I do this stuff. Just, it's so gross, and it's just not good for you. So we'll try and protect ourselves as best we can. And we're going to be brushing away a lot of stuff. So it's going to be airborne. You just want to blow it away from you and try and keep it away. It's not good stuff. So I'm going to grab you guys. And the mic's going to be a little different on the other side, but we'll come over here and let's do the rolly stool. Hey, wow, that's actually a pretty good view. All right, I'm going to hop on this side. And let's just see if we can light it from here. No, why would you stay vertical? Oh my God. Nope, no metal. Hey, look, free rock. Found a free rock. All right, get that out of here. Let me find a nice metal part, steel part to stick onto, so we can all see everything. That is way too bright. That's a little bit better. I'll try and bring you guys in a little bit. So for the tools, for the tools that we're going to use, I'm going to use basic hand tools, nothing fancy, no $1,000 Snap-on, specialty tools. all of it is very basic. Need a 14 millimeter. This is just a combination wrench. You can use a 14 millimeter socket, but on these calipers, because of the control arm, this control arm right here is in the way for a socket. So we're going to use a 14. We also have a 19 that's going to hold the nuts up at the front, the locking nut. We have just a 12-inch pry bar. And sometimes this portion of the caliper is really hard to get off. So we use the pry bar in there. Ba-chink. I also double the pry bars to clean off the edge of the rotor. I'll just spin the rotor and clean the rust off the edge with this. We do have a socket wrench. I brought the Jeff wrench just because sometimes it's quicker. And we have, this is a brass brush. This is from, I think it's from Harbor Freight. Yeah, it's a Harbor Freight brush. I use this on a lot of brake stuff. It's brass, so it's not going to really hurt much of the metal, but it's going to take a lot of the dust and crap off. This, when you're doing this, just blow all of that stuff away from you. This is weird. This is like carpet in here. Anyway, all right. We also have a torque wrench and our 14 mil socket. This is a digital torque wrench. I really like these guys. And when we put these guys back, they're going to be between 20 and 25 foot-pounds. So we just want to make sure we get it right. If you over torque this, it's not terrible, but you can also snap off the bolt, which is a huge pain in the ass. So we'll just get it right. And then don't really need it for the back, but it really helps up at the front. This is a brake pad spreader, and I'll try and demonstrate it here if it's going in the right direction. So my hands are the brake pads. As you can see, the one side is threading out. And what this is doing is it is pushing these pads apart. When you have it in the caliper, it's going to push the piston back into the caliper so you can get the new pads in. Not really totally necessary. This is not a very expensive tool. They're 20, 30 bucks. This comes with, it has the smaller pads, and then these are the magnetic guys. They attach magnetically, and that's for doing larger stuff like on the truck. Whoa, if I don't kick them off. That's for doing big boy pads, multi-caliper. So we're not using those. We're just going to set them to the side. And I just got a message, which I'm sure is a very pleasant one. I'm sure is a very pleasant one. The other thing I have is my own lube, and I use the Molly lube for doing some of the hardware for the brake pads. They include lube, but I don't know. This stuff has always worked for me, and so it's one of those. It's almost superstition now. Use that lube because it works really well, and I have enough of it to do probably 5 semi trucks. So I'm going to use my lube. It's high temp. It works. I don't have squeaking. I don't have broken parts. It's a good way to go. So I can't really. This is sort of tough to see, but I'll try and do it. And also, just to preface this, I did when I put these up. When I put the car up on jack stands, I also hit these with some deep creep, the bleeder screw, the 2 caliper screws, and the banjo bolt for the brake line. So I did hit those with deep creep, and with any good fortune when it comes to bleeding the brakes, this bleeder screw right here, this guy, does not break off. That's always a possibility, which sucks. Breaking off a bleeder screw in a caliper, oh. It's almost worth it just to go get a new caliper. So we are on reverse, and I'm going to try and work with the light here. And I'm going to use the Jeff wrench for the top one. Again, these should not be super duty in here. It should be about 25 foot-pounds. I'll show you guys a cool trick for replacing pads, because you don't have to take this caliper all the way off. Oh, there's a lot of grime and gross, but the deep creep definitely helped. This bolt is just coming right out of here. The bolt looks nice and clean, which is a good thing. So this bolt is actually part of the slider pin that this section slides on. It's sort of a reverse hydraulic clamp. I don't know what you would call it, a reverse two-sided hydraulic clamp. All right, I think that guy, once we get things loose, will come out of it. He might have threads left on him. This is also why electric tools are great. Yeah, I don't think he's coming out any further. So now we got to take this guy out down here. Now we don't have to take him out. We just have to loosen him, because what we're going to do is we're going to fold this back, and that'll give us access to the pads. We can clean stuff up, get our new hardware in there, push the piston back, and then fold this right back into place. So we don't have to hang it or anything like that. If for some reason you have to take off your clamping section, your piston section of your caliper, don't let it hang from the rubber hose. It's just a bad idea. Your hoses don't like that. Most, even if you have braided lines, don't do that. Get a little hanger, hang it up here, set it on top of a control arm, something. Don't let it just hang on the ground. It's not good for it. So, which way are we going here? This way? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. That guy was a little bit loose. Now I'm using the combination wrench on this side because, like I said, with this control arm, I can't get a socket in there. And I don't have ratcheting wrenches. Down here, of course, all my tools in Ohio, I got 10 of them. So now we have a loose caliper because this guy's loose here. I'm going to see if I can get this one out. I'm pretty sure he's unthreaded. Yeah, he's not coming out anymore. So let me see. Yep, he's loose. Just used the open part to sort of pry him back. These wrenches don't have very sharp edges. They're not going to hurt any threads or anything. So that guy is in there. Maybe use a pry bar and get some. Nope, don't have enough distance there. Let me try to wiggle him. This light is not cooperating. There we go. Now he's loose. You can see how that works. Gosh, he is just stuck in there. Maybe threading him a little more helps. He should be all the way out. It's just a tight fit in there. Yeah. He doesn't want to come out of there. He's in there pretty damn tight. And this is just a slide pin, but he's obviously out of lube. Of course, the other side walks right off, right? It's like, oh yeah, here you go, no problem. This side has to be a huge pain in the ass. Why? Why does this side have to be a huge pain in the ass? The other side was super easy. All right, well. He's not pulling any threads back out. So maybe it's a combination of turning and of course, we all knew that was going to happen, right? Anybody else not see that happening? Whoa, come back here. Now, of course, I'm doing this in the dark. Yeah, this should, right now, this bolt up here should just slide right out. And he does not want to slide right out. And of course, it just ripped all these. All right. So, yeah, why would that be steel? Silly me. Silly me. I'm crazy for thinking that, right? All right. So, I'm going to have to use some force here. Or you might have to take both bolts out. I'm going to loosen this lower one more. Maybe we can get it to slide further. Maybe. The other one seriously was like click, 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 and it came right out. This one is not coming right out. He turns in there, but he doesn't want to come out. And he's just covered in crap. So, yeah. I don't know if you guys can see all the dirt and stuff from the boot. But yeah, he's all done with threads. So let's see if we can help him. We'll give him a little help. I'm going to go get the motivator and a punch. This is going to make a little bit of noise, so I apologize. But I'm going to try and help this bolt out. Maybe. Maybe not. He's not going anywhere. All right. Well, this was a really bad example for the rear. Should have done the other side, right? But you don't know this stuff. The other side came apart like Harrison Ford went to sign your Lego Millennium Falcon, right? This side is built like the graphite rod pool of a nuclear power plant. All right, so I can't get him any looser. He just doesn't want to come out of there. He won't thread out. He won't push out. What a pain. What a huge pain. Brakes take a lot of abuse, so this is the stuff that happens. This is stuff you got to deal with. These are exposed to the elements literally every day. So salt, road grind, highway paint, all that stuff, right? Now, if I want to get this lower bolt out, I have to jack up the rear end, but that's super sketchy because the car's on jack stands. So I'm just making that bolt as loose as possible. Why won't you come out of there? I don't know. Maybe that bolt does come off. No, he has to slide out. But this guy turns by hand, whereas the other one does not. I don't know. Maybe we can figure out how to squeak it by. Technically, this isn't a control arm, it's a trailing arm, but we're not going to be too specific, are we? Damn it. How can this guy be so locked in there? He's not letting me push him either. Whoa. So this is not as much fun as the other side, I will tell you that. You move. He's not coming out of there. And this, folks, is how calipers get replaced. This is all corroded inside of here. So, yeah. He is completely jammed in there. Yeah, this is all corroded inside this whole section of the caliper. It's all corroded. So we're going to rotate this guy a little bit, and hopefully we can get him to pop out. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. This is why you lube stuff up, right? You can see the dust flying when I move this. Oh, God. I don't know what the deal is. Why can't a light just stay put and not be in my way? Is that a little better? Yeah, that's a little bit better. This is the fun part, right? Oh my God. It's just... This is why we do maintenance on vehicles. My watch is warning me that it's a loud environment. I'd say you're about right, Mr. Watch. God. It's turning a little bit easier. I'll show you this bolt when it comes out. Hey, what do we got? Practicing your golf form. We have the cutout holes to connect the pins. Yeah. No, we're not painting the brake pads red. Also, it's B-R-A-K-E. Brake is something you take at work. Did that go? Did he move? Holy crap. There's our slide pin. And when here's something, you guys, I don't know if you guys can see this. He is in bad shape. And actually, no, he's not bent, but he's just got a ton of corrosion and there's almost no lube on here. This is drier than British humor. So we obviously have to lube this up and we put it back in. But yeah, when you get replacements for these, you can get slide pin replacements when you can get like full caliper kits. You get slide pin replacements. They'll probably be 13 millimeter. So double check when you get the kits that they're 14 millimeter, because otherwise you're going to have 13, 14, 14, 13. You're going to have all different sizes and it's a pain in the ass. Make sure they're 14 mil. That's what OEM is. These are obviously OEM pins. Yeah. God. You can see the corrosion up here at the front. And then it's just totally dry here. That's why he was not pulling out. It was just a metal on metal press fit. So we're going to lube him back up. This guy slid out no problem. So he'll be okay. So now, next thing we're going to do with the caliper, I'll show you right here. The easier part is, here we were 10 minutes ago. We're going to pop out there's our boot. We need that. Pop out the caliper. You can just use a pry bar. This is cast iron on most. If you have a painted caliper, use something that's not going to hurt the paint or powder coat or whatever. You can also put electrical tape on here and use that. That'll help protect it. This now slides out and he stays put. We don't have to worry about him falling down and yanking on the brake hose here, brake hose here. He's not going to fall down because he's still on this slide pin right here. So that's a good thing. He's going to hold that out of the way for us. Even if he kind of falls over, he's not going to go very far. So that's a good thing. Next up, these are our old pads. And you can use a pry bar if you really want to, but they should just pop right out of their hardware and then into your hand. And we'll do a comparison in a little bit, but these are all done. I don't think these have been replaced in years. So do the same thing on the opposite side. Oh boy. Yeah. Remember when I told you about being able to tell if a caliper is working properly? I'm about to show you that a caliper was not working properly. Or that somebody was using this to drift, which also is a possibility. Okay, so I'll get in there. This pad is stuck in here just like that pin was. So he's going to have to wiggle out. And it's going to be a lot of back and forth. Because this caliper was not working correctly because that slide pin was jammed up. See how much pad isn't there? So that tells you that this inside pad was working so much harder because that thing was stuck and would not allow the pad to release. And so this one has got the initial impact every single time. This one on the outside did a little bit of work, but if you want to compare them side by side, you can see which pad was working more. And that tells me we have to lube up both of these slide pins. That's just that simple. Now, next part is the hardware. And these are little clips that help keep tension on the brake pads. Any challenges so far? Yeah. The top slide pin was a huge pain in the ass to take off. So there's two of these. There's one on top, one on bottom. And the new hardware you get might not look exactly like this, but it'll have the same basic overall shape, but it might not have, like, I don't think ours have the, I'll just show you comparison-wise. So if you compare them side to side, they're basically the same shape to go in the caliper, but this one has a little extra tang on top, probably because he's hanging on a rack at the factory. This one has a little hook. This one has a little tab here on the outside to help, I guess, yeah, to guide the pad in. So they're very similar in shape, but just make sure you get the right one, because sometimes the packs come with like 6 different hardware kits. Just make sure you put the right one back in. So yeah, truss, I'll show you this. This is the slide pin bolt that came out. It's just in bad shape. It's completely dry and it's corroded here. Not good. Not good at all. There's our boot, which the boot is actually okay, but somehow water got in there somewhere. And the boot goes this way. He slides on there. We're going to lube the shit out of this. We're also going to throw some lube on that lower pin too, so that we can get this caliper to work properly. Now, we're going to check this piston to make sure the piston is going in. Uh-oh, time for new bitch mittens. If the piston's not going in correctly, yeah. So before I get to clean, now we're ready to clean this stuff. We have all of our old stuff out, and we have our new stuff ready to go in. I'm gonna grab some new gloves. So just give me a second to grab some new gloves, and I will be right back because they're not very far away. Yeah. All right. I gotta wipe off my hand too. So let me grab a rag, clean off my hand. This stuff is not good for you. I promise. I promise it's not good for you. Yeah, not bad. This is mainly just grease and dirt. It's not really brake pad material. I gotta check that awesome message that I got. Sorry, you guys, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. It was a good message. Very good message. Very nice, positive message is the best way to put that. Whoa, come back here. Oh. You know, Rockstar, I'd get a lot more done if there was a pallet of it outside. But that's just me. That's just my crazy talk, right? Just saying. Be happy to wear a Rockstar hoodie. Oh, and might have another kick-ass message. So let's. Oh, and the other thing I need. I keep going down on my knees, get back up, down on my knees, get back up. So I'll show you the pads from the other side. These are the pads from the other side, and these wore considerably more even. You can see that if I offset them a little bit. You can see that they wore a little bit more even than this side. So we'll set those off to the side. These are all pretty much garbage. You just recycle them as necessary. Here are our new pads, and these are from Bosch, and they come with the anti-squeal plate. And then on the opposite side, it comes with a squealer that's riveted that actually touches the disc when the pad gets too low. It goes, "Eet!" No, the rotors have not been touched. So these rotors are actually in really good shape. Haven't touched the rotors. Don't really need to. They're in really good shape. So I'm just going to set these out of the way while we do some cleanup stuff. One of the things I like to do is the corrosion that comes on the outside of the disc. Hopefully the parking brake is still off. I just put the pry bar here and I give it a few rotations, and it takes some of that big stuff off the outside. It works kind of like a lathe. Make sure your parking brake's off. And you guys can't see it when I do that. So that's about it. It takes some of the big stuff off of here. On most rotors are cast iron. You'll have huge chunks. So that just helps clean it up a little bit. If you're putting brand new stuff on here, might as well make it halfway nice. So that's kind of it for that. Next, we got our wire brush, and this is where we keep blowing stuff away. Any of the dust that comes off of here is probably going to have some pad material. Now, this stuff is it's crazy compounds. It's asbestos. It's basically powdered cancer, and you're paying for it. So you want to keep it as far away from as possible from you. So when you're brushing stuff over here like this, just blow that crap away from you. In here, where the hardware goes, inside these two little prongs right here, this one, and on our piston right here, we want to make sure those are as clean as possible. You can also clean up the rest of the stuff and get dirt and grime. Again, it depends how much you want to do this, but you'll see the dust come up. Blow that shit away from you. So yeah, you can hear me going. Can you guys see that dust? I don't know. Does it show up? Oh yeah. So that stuff you want away from you. There we go. The same thing in here. Be careful to seal. You really just want to get the face of this, if it's corroded, of the piston. You don't really want to get the rubber seal. The brass stuff is pretty good about rubber seals, but you don't want to poke a hole or anything. So get the rest of the caliper, get some of this crap off. When this stuff gets really hot, it just bakes right on. So we get our caliper looking fairly clean. You know what's odd? I guess it's probably just the... So there we go. Super clean, done with the brush. Haven't compressed the caliper yet. So with the calipers, it helps to have your brake fluid lid open. It's not necessary, but it does help. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can use a C-clamp and grab it from the back, and clamp it closed. You can use a pry bar and get in here, and with a long enough pry bar, you could push it in. I mean, you can see me push it right there. Whoops. Curious if I can do, yep, I can push it all the way back in. So now this piston is all the way back in the main part of the caliper. The other thing you can do is use this guy. Now this guy barely, this is a very small caliper. This guy barely fits in here. So you can use this guy just like this. Sorry. Center in there, just like that. And then you can compress the caliper this way. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. C-clamp is probably the most common. This is definitely the quickest. Pry bar, if you're in the middle of a gunfight in Kandahar and all you have is a pry bar, use a pry bar. It's pretty quick and easy. Single piston calipers, super easy. Not a lot of pressure on these guys compared to a multi-piston caliper. And also with a multi-piston caliper, you're going to want to use this because it pushes all the pistons at the same time. Whereas if you try and do it with like a pry bar or just a single C-clamp, it'll push one piston in and the other piston will come right out. So you want to make sure whatever caliper you're working on, you're pushing all the pistons in at the same time. So next up, we're done with, I'm just going to put these tools away from what we're done with. And we'll do some quick lube. And I just have a, oh, this is all covered from earlier when I did the other ones. I'll try and show you. This is just an acid brush. You get these at craft stores. You get like a bag of 50 for like $4. And use an acid brush with just regular Molly lube. Now you don't go crazy with this. It is literally just a dab will do ya. No shit. So I'm gonna bring the light down so I can see what I'm doing because I need to look, hang on. I need to look behind and up. So I'm putting it in the little trough. And this is, I don't know if you're cooking, it's like an egg wash. It is not, you're not slathering it on there. It is more for protection than anything else. It is more to protect that metal and keep things quiet. You can see the imprint from the pad. This guy had it parked for a long time. So you got an imprint from the pad. So again, I'm going to come up here. I'm sorry I'm blocking you guys. I'm just trying to get this little notch up here. Okay. And we'll do this one up here. Whoops. It's okay if you get it on the rotor. Don't stress too much. We can wipe that off. But we try not to load up the rotor. Also, this stuff will burn off really quick when you jam on the brakes. So next up, we're going to add our hardware. The other thing to be careful of is make sure your hardware, if you have a specific top and bottom. Really? Okay. So sometimes the clip up top is different than the clip on the bottom. It depends on the car and the brake caliper, but most of the time they're going to be symmetrical. And these just go in, I mean, pretty simple. They push in and then you clamp them into, you know, just press them into the space. Do the same thing up top. This little trough right here, right there, that little trough is what's going to grab on the caliper. And they really do only go on one way. So there you go. That guy's in there. Just press them down. Again, that pre-lube is just basically for protection. Help protect not only the caliper, but also these and this. It just helps keep things quiet. Next up, we're going to lube up our new pieces of hardware, our new clip. And we only go in the trough where the pad rides. We don't really need to do anything else with that. And again, it's a little tiny dab. I could probably use a Q-tip for this, but I don't want to get threads everywhere. So we only go on the surfaces where the pad rides. And I'll show you where that really helps and where a lot of people do things kind of a bit much on other cars. And that's with the caliper. What a lot of people will do is take the lube and they'll just paint the whole back of the caliper now, or the pad. Now, here's the problem. When you put that pad in there, now, if I just raise this guy up, all of the lube that's in this open areas, all it's going to do is catch dirt. And that's bad. So instead of lubing up the whole pad, we're just going to lube up the caliper itself. And we're only going to lube up the areas that touch the pad. So we're going to lube up the face of the piston. And it's okay if some of this lube gets on the seal, doesn't hurt it. And then on the inside of these two guys, we're also going to lube that. And this isn't, you're not icing a wedding cake. This is a nice, you're buttering a waffle. That's all you're doing. You're not trying to get diabetes. That's it. So now we have the fun part. The harder one is the inside one, and especially while trying to show you guys stuff. So, of course, he pushes exactly right into place. Make sure your pads are lined up correctly. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people really get frustrated and try and do that from the side. So usually I put in the bottom first and guide it in from there. So I'll do the bottom and then he goes right in the slot up here. And there we go. Our pads are in. Make sure they're touching the rotor. And I have a paper towel here. So we'll move that and we'll slide that rotor out of the way and we'll get it cleaned in a second here. Now, since our piston is all the way back in, we can just fold this up, I think, and he goes right back into place. Now, when you first press your brakes, that piston is going to go and it's going to take him a couple of pumps before he gets out to that. So just a heads up, don't immediately launch out of your car and try and do that. Now, for other stuff, I need to do this. The pins on this side. So hang on a second here. Oh, crap. Of course. And all I'm going to do is get in your guys' way and block everything. And I don't really want to do that. So hang on. I'm going to pull this out. This boot is on there pretty tight. That's why it's surprising that there's any kind of water in there at all. So we're going to get some lube and stick it inside that boot. And with any good fortune, it lubes itself. So I don't have a ton of room to work here. So I'm going to push it into that boot. And as it slides, hopefully it grabs on. It should. Whoa. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. Get in there, buddy. I can smear it in with my fingers. So I'm going to do the same on this. Oh, God. You know what I'm going to do on this? You guys are going to think I'm weird. But, yeah. I actually just dipped it in the bucket. I got to obviously wipe off the excess, but I'm gonna dip it in the bucket, and then we're gonna do some test fits here because of how tight he was. I need to clean off my fingers quick. See, at least he slides now. He had literally no lube in there, but now you can see him sliding back and forth. Oh my God, it's so graphic. Okay, well, also, he's kind of airtight, so pressure forces him back. So this is a good thing. Oh yeah, we like that. We definitely like that. We're gonna give him another little spring smidge here and make the appropriate sounds. Okay. So we're trying to avoid the threads, but we want to make sure that that gets spread all around the rest of that shaft. Oh yeah, I like that a lot. Way better. Way better. This guy, I can't really check because he's still attached, but I don't know. Maybe I can. Hang on. Let me. I don't know if I can. Hang on. Might have to hammer this one too, just to get him moving. Yeah. Whoops. Stay in there, brake pad. I knew you were going to fall out of there. That's about as far as you can go without. Oh, ding. Got the rotor. Oh, yeah. Now we're running into the trailing arm there, so we can't really do much after that. But once this boot seal goes on here, God. All right. All right, there we go. We get a much better shot on the shaft now. And of course, as soon as I put my hand in the way, all the light goes away, right? Okay. So I'm just trying to get this shaft to move a little bit better. Because you want these slide pins, they're called slide pins for a reason, right? So you want them to move with the caliper. And if they're jammed, it makes it a little difficult. So we want them to slide. That's why we keep them lubricated. Oh, crap, of course. There we go. Okay, better. Wow, that thing really rings out. So we get our other pad back in here. Get the crap off. Now we have lube on both of those. So we put the, where'd our other pin go? We'll put our pin through, and then our boot goes in between the caliper and the other section. We got to make sure he goes the right way. And then we slide all this into place. Up. Make sure we don't pinch the boot. Make sure we're straight. Okay. There we go. Look at that. See how nicely that guy slides in and out of there? It's like that movie you were watching earlier. Now, make sure the boot comes back over the lip that's on the caliper. And an easy way to do that is to put it on, then rotate the boot a little bit, and then put it on, rotate the boot a little bit, and it should eventually be all the way on. The boot should rotate all the way. So now we should be able to thread this guy in. Let's see, not quite by hand yet. Pretty close. Switch to the slightly faster wrap.